Got a bit bored with the design, and not bored, just probably overplayed it a bit and it's gone a bit. Just need a bit of a break from it. Same with playing. So I thought I'd do a couple of vids of some of my better courses. They've gone a bit stagnant as well. I kind of get like a play a week if I'm lucky on most of them, so I thought I'd do a couple of vids for something to do, and I might eke a few more plays out of them. I'll probably post them up on the original, on the two forums, the original posts I made, just try and eke a few more plays out. I always design. The appeal of this game to me is designing courses from a real life point of view, or that's the way I've always sort of done it. You know, I'm pretty good golfer in real life, so I can sort of bring. I like to think anyway that I can see things. Knowing the game and been playing it a long time, I can sort of see the shots and put that in my design. I know what's a tough shot and everything. I don't think it's coincidence that some of the best, well, most of the best designers, certainly modern day, are sort of ex-golfers, you know. I don't. It's not just because of the name. That obviously is a big thing with it, but you think of say Jack Nicklaus. You know, he was probably the best. Well, probably he's the best golfer that's ever played the game. I dare anyone who's ever played the game would know the sort of shots, because that would have been the reason he was so good. He was so good at all these different shots, and he knew how to play a golf course, how to dissect a golf course, as he would say. And it's no coincidence that he's one of the best designers. You know, hundreds of courses. You know, some of my favourites: Valhalla, the Memorial, sort of Castle Pines. Some real, So it's no coincidence that he's one of the top designers because of that. So, but I'm slowly, because I think for the purpose of this game, it's like I said, that's my appeal, doing it as a real life, but it doesn't always come across so well. Not for a challenge anyway. So more and more I'm getting better on this game, and more I play it, I see, like I do in real life, I see the shots from this game that are difficult, and I'm sort of even subconsciously, not always intentionally, I'm kind of adding them as I go with my courses nowadays. My more recent courses, I'm adding what would be perceived as a tough shot on a game rather than real life. So and I think I've got another course I'm finishing off now. Once that's done, I'm gonna start designing a few courses that have that in mind. Which is probably should be doing in the first place. But anyway, focal point of this hole is that tree on the left there. It gives you the impression that it comes into play, and if you go left, yeah, you've got a problem. But generally, it's sort of it's just there for like an imposing nature to it. So it gives you the impression you need to sort of hug these bunkers a little bit, and it's not really the case. It's actually, I find, an easier shot sort of landing it here and going over the tree, because it doesn't come into play. It just gives you that sort of impression that you need to sort of stay away from it. It's quite if you go too close to the bunkers, it's almost like telling you the wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? It's tricking you into doing something you don't need to do. It's one of my favourite pin locations. One thing I'm trying to do more and more is, as I learn, you just pick up things, and you see from most angles it's pretty, certainly around the back if you go long, it's quite a difficult putt, but the pin itself is actually on quite a mild slope. But I find if I leave an easy putt somewhere, generally I think it's here, it's straight uphill, that it'll reward pinpoint accuracy then. So if it's all, just all around the pin is the same or flat, then it's kind of, well, you only got to hit it somewhere near the pin. You haven't got to think what side you got to hit it from and all that. So I always build my green last because I need to know where my approach shots are coming from in relevance to how sort of difficult the tee shot was. So I always design tee to green, and then obviously if they've taken a certain shot off the tee that I'm going to reward somehow by giving them a better angle in, that's why I always do my green last, and then I can sort of shape the flow of the green, and then basically slap your pin position in. It would be nice if we could get multiple pins, even if it was like maybe 2, 3, and you could pick them and it would random it when someone plays. That'd be pretty cool. But generally, because it's always going to be that one pin, then I can't help but fiddle around with it a little bit. So usually just even a little bit, you know, just to make sure it's nice. I don't have any set agenda with par 5s. If you ask me, then I would probably say I'd have one that was quite easy reachable, whatever the conditions, and maybe a long iron, 4 or 5 iron, but that would be likely to be a smaller green and quite, you know, quite lots of hazards, quite treacherous. Then I would have probably a couple like this, which are just in range given the right conditions, and then maybe one possibly. They're handy for getting your routing on track if you're a bit behind, you know, a bit too far away from finishing by the club ace or something. Then you can stretch out the par 5 to up to, you know, high 600s if you're desperate. Same with a par 3. If you're a bit ahead of yourself, you can sort of drop back with a par 3 the other way, and then, you know, get back sort of on track. But the long par 5, I don't enjoy playing them. I quite enjoy designing them because you can get really creative with the layup shot. I played one just not long ago. The Timberwolf, I think it was, and the 9th hole there. Really enjoyed that. It was probably reachable. I didn't have the right wind, but it would have been reachable if you had. But also there's one NJ's, I think it's the 4th hole at the White Devil. These medium range par 5s are my favourite. It makes you've got to kind of work out the last 30-20 yards. Think of it as like a long putt or a chip. You've got to land it. Obviously you're only going to get within a certain distance, so this one is pretty obvious. You've got to kind of get in this gap here. If you do, it'll bring you round nicely to the pin there. If you do tugger a little bit, don't get it quite right, you can have quite a nasty putt there. Again, if the pin was up on there, then the opposite would ring true. If you end up doing that slope, you'd have a horrible putt. Back of the green, bit of a run off, so you've got a nasty pitch against the slope. Back left there, if you pull it, it's going to go a bit longer. Opposite, if you hit a sort of weak slice, it's going to come a bit short. It's going to catch them bunkers there. Hole 3, the ideal play would be a little draw. Try and keep to the left hand side as much as you can. If I was up on the right there, if I'd have bailed a bit too much, I'd be playing across here into this. That's where Eddie's gone, down there. So you're playing. I want you to go down there. Look, that's why that bunker's a bit away from the green. You might sort of think that'll stop you, but that is going to still bench you off, kick you off down there. That's what I want you to do. If you're further over to the left, you're coming in away from that angle, so there's less chance of you hitting it. Not the best. It's okay though. My greenkeeping shed's back there. After the engine of a golf course, the heart of a golf course. Don't let anyone tell you any different. In a nice spot. One of the cool things, not cool things, but with this game, you know, we get all the good stuff. We get to we get to name the course. I'd like to see hole names added, a little touch. You know, have your hole names if you wanted. You get to, I tend to look at it, I'll set my terrain and then I look at it as if I got a blank checkbook, where in real life, you know, your budget is a massive part of it for most designers anyway. But you know, your greenkeeping sheds have got to be in a good spot. Ideally they want to be sort of central to the golf course, but near the first hole, which is going to be near the clubhouse, and you don't want them too near the clubhouse because there's noise pollution, all this kind of stuff. So all them kind of things will come into a course designer's sort of itinerary, you know, what he's got to think about. Hole 5, quite like this hole. Says that I'm never going to be able to reach that green in 2. That bunker, I probably would have made that a little bit smaller if I had another go at it. It's sort of, if the wind's in your face, you kind of got to lay it before it or down the left. The idea with the layup is that tree there. You need to draw it round to get your best lie, which is up the left here. Better angle come in over on the right. It's a bit of undulations. And not such a good angle. Say pretty benign hole, so it's got a good view of, you know, something aesthetically interesting with it. It just adds that little bit, helps cover up a pretty boring hole. That's when aesthetics are okay to me. That's when I would use them. This is hole 8. I think this would be a good hole in real life. It's pretty tricky on you if you get the wrong wind. If you just sort of bail a little bit left, or well, not bail, but the bunkers there. Ideally, you wanna get it up on that sort of flat ridge that runs, so a little sort of spine that runs up the right hand side there. There we are. Look. I'm not sure what hole I would call this. There's an element of strategy to it. I can put it here, and but it is quite penal as well. Holes will come in 3. There will be 3 different styles to them. It'll either be penal. So if you imagine a hole totally straight and all the way down left and right hand side of it is bunkers, and that's a penal hole because you have to hit the fairway. There's no, you know, it punishes inaccuracy. They were more common in older links courses and stuff, where the bunkers would sort of come across the fairway, so you'd have to sort of, you know, it was less of an aerial game then. It was all along the floor, so you'd have to sort of work your way through the bunkers in a way. So then penal was, so, but I see it as now as you know, anything offline is going to be punished. Then you've got strategic. That just gives you, you know, more than a couple of options off the tee. You can play a hole, whatever suits you, a different way, whatever way you choose. It gives you options, so that's strategic. And then something that I think comes sort of hand in hand with strategic, that is a heroic hole, which is risk reward. The 18th of Pebble Beach, you've got the ocean there, and if you really take a lot of it off, you know, and really, you know, risk a real sort of tricky line, and make the fairway, you can have a pretty good chance of reaching the green, and almost the top players almost certainly get a birdie, you know, or an eagle chance. If you miss here in the ocean, but that, you know, again, it still gives you the option. You either go for it or you don't, so it's sort of strategic anyway. I guess if it has, well, I don't guess it, if it has that heroic element to a risk reward shot element to it, then it becomes a heroic hole. That's what they call it. So it's either penal, strategic or heroic. This today without wind, I'm going to, can I get over the 3-wood? Yeah, I think I'm just going to hit a 3-wood there, so kind of tactical thinking, because that bunga, if I hit driver, is probably going to come into play, so. I like to play that hole, see. It's my halfway house there. That's another cool thing, you know, I bring up loads of points about what designers got to worry about and what we don't, but there's a little halfway house there. In real life, ideally, you know, if you're working in a budget, you'd want, you might even be told to do it, but 2 loops of 9, which I've never done on this game, but you know, it's very common in most designs, is 2 loops. So your 9th plays back to the clubhouse, you finish the 9th by the clubhouse, so if you only want to play 9 holes, you finish, and also you can have a 2T start, you know, the 10th is right there, so people want to play the back 9. That adds to your revenue. People only want to play 9 holes, you know, you're going to attract sort of them quick round customers, I suppose. And also you wouldn't have to spend thousands on a halfway house. You could just go in the old in the clubhouse or whatever, pro shop. This possibly would be classed as a heroic hole. Probably not. I don't think it's worth the risk really, but it kind of tempts you into sort of, you know, randomly just playing over there when it's just no need. It's only going to gain you 20 yards. The reason I've kind of come down this area was because this is my first attempt at retaining walls, and I had to do it. You know, I said I'm not particularly great with the old tools and stuff yet. You know, a bit of a grommet with that, but it didn't come out too bad. This is my fairly predictable short par 4 hole, reachable par 4. A good tip for one of these is make the 2-shot way of playing it quite tough. It's not particularly difficult, but it's slightly awkward, I suppose. If you do that, you might get more people doing what you want them to do, and that's risking the shot. Oh, just a tad up there. Oh, hold on. Oh, that was a big slice on it. It's kind of work though. Stop. Look at that. How lucky was that? Par 3 12. Nice deep bunker here. I love this bunker. 3-tier green as well. Good hole. This is another of them par 5s that are maybe just within reach. I've broken up the fairway there, and I've not quite reached there anyway, but so I'm gonna have to lay up. But again, maybe a bit too much tree trickery. I said they've all got a purpose. You've got to shape the ball around them, but this here is actually quite. If I show you up by the green, you need, if you want to reach, you need to sort of get on there in that sort of area, otherwise it'll kick you off over there. But these trees, if you don't shape it around these trees, they'll catch you, and there's a good chance you'll end up in there. So is that a bit tricked up? I don't know. Some people would say it is. With the trees, I think it is. I don't, you know, I wouldn't have put so many out there if I had a chance again. This hole is more what I've got in mind for future designs. You know, it's quite tough tee shot. If I just play up and show you the green, miss the fairway. I'm not going to keep up with Hazard doing things like that. I was doing alright for a bit. I just want to show you what I meant when I said earlier about designing from the perspective of this game. I've got quite a few of these sort of runoffs, and what they do is they make obviously I can't hit a chip shot there. I don't think I can. I haven't tried chip shots too far off the front foot. You used to be able to do it on Tiger. You put off your front foot and really sort of almost like a, not a flop shot, but a, you know, a high short pitch. But with a bunker, if I was to land in that bunker now, it would give me, it's usually plugged, so it'd be between sort of 40 and 60 or 50 and 70, I think. So if I'm 10 yards away and I can't chip, what would be like a normal sort of sandwich, whatever, up there. If I've got to hit a bunker shot, and say I put my lob wedge all the way up, it'll put it to 20. So if I got a 10 yard shot from the bunker to the pin, I've just got to put it all the way up and hit it full ball, and hopefully that won't be far off, you know. It does run on a bit, yeah, but down here, if I wanted to do that, I've got to guess sort of around, you know, 50% mark, and then it'll probably spin back more, which is quite dangerous on this game. So you might want to use a sand wedge or a pitching wedge to sort of deaden the spin, you know, take the spin off it. So I find it's a much more difficult shot when it comes to the sort of, you know, 10 yard, 8, 9, 10 yards that you can chip than from a bunker. So that's my theory behind it anyway. 15, another example of the tree again. I just wish I could take that, chop it down. But that little gap there, I've just left that in. It's just to give you a second sort of thought in your mind, maybe, you know, why it's there or something. But you wouldn't, a course designer wouldn't do something like that. I was fiddling around with this sort of around the rock, and I was doing some, you know, trying a few things out, the look and all. And which is fine, you would do that sketching, I suppose, in real life, but you wouldn't on a hunch that something might look good or bad as a real life course designer just put it in. You would, you know, a course designer will always have to keep money back, contingency money, usually, you know, for problems that are going to arise after he's built the course. You know, he's got to keep a bit of budget back for, you know, any unforeseen problems, like usually drainage, very often drainage issues, you know, got to be sort of, you would always add to a course, I guess that's what I'm saying. You wouldn't do it and then, you know, once you've spent the money, you've done it. If you've got to get rid of it, obviously it costs money, it's just bad economics. So hole 16, tricky tee shot. Green itself, your second shot is going to be a long iron in generally, and that front bit there, you've got to get on the green. It's a big green, and it'll flow you around to the pin if you get it right, if you can judge it right. And but that front bit, you won't be able to bounce it up anyway. If you look there at the green now, it looks as if that front bunker there, or what I kind of call a deception bunker, where it looks as if it's on the, you know, if it's green side, but it's actually it's pointless on this screen, but on this game I can just do that and see that it's not. But you think it's green side, but there's actually sort of maybe 15 yards of fairway there as well, so you might, you know, trick you in a bit. I know a lot of people don't like that kind of style of design, tricking up, but the actual approach itself for this hole is there for a reason. It's if you've got a tailwind like I have now, the green sort of slopes away from you a bit at the back there, and it's a long hole, so if you've got a tailwind, it's going to be very difficult to stop around the green. So that bit of approach, you can bounce it up. That's the idea behind it. But I also like about this hole is, yeah, you see that front bunker and whatever it is, but you can't see any of the bunker on the hole, but it's actually surrounded them, so I quite like that sort of aspect to it. Okay, last hole, par 5, obviously. The Rolls of Kohala. There's a course near me called the Rolls of Monmouth. Similar looking to this. It's all rolling countryside, typical British rolling countryside. But also it was owned by, I don't know if it still is, Rolls Royce. Mr. Rolls, Mr. Royce, I don't know, but he owned it. Very English country house, aristocratic sort of mansion as the backdrop to 18. I don't know if it was a clubhouse. So I've stolen the Rolls, part of that from there. Kohala, my first ever course on Arnold Palmer's course designer was called the Rolls of Kohala, and it was meant to be a Hawaiian course. It was a bit like this, but it had sort of beaches and all in the background, you know, cliffs. You could sort of tell it was near the sea and stuff. And they're some of my favourite courses, not just aesthetics, but Kapalua Plantation especially is a wonderful design. But Princeville is one, and Waianakia, Wailea I think as well. A few courses that I've only played on computer games and seen in pictures and watched on telly. You know, I've never played them, but Kapalua is a bucket list course, definitely. So I was searching for, I had the Rolls pattern, I wanted the Rolls pattern, and I searched for Hawaiian grass plains or something, and it showed a picture that looked a bit like what I was aiming for, and it was called Kohala, so that's where I got that name from. The idea here is to sort of lay up on this mound here and not go over it and have an awkward lie, but it's actually easier to do that on this game. Nice little driving range there in the background, backdrop to the hole, something a little different I suppose. Clubhouse, set of bounds, and a taxi to take you home. That's what will happen if you don't be careful. So I can't go at this screen there really. I'll try a 3-wood. No, idiot. Oh, there we are. Bit of luck. Yeah, so that's about it.